Good morning, Los Angeles. We've got wall-to-wall sunshine on tap, but a heavy smog advisory is in effect.
A couple of weeks ago, you and I complained like a losing political campaign about the price of a new base 911. Well, there's one with almost 500 horsepower, and it doesn't say GT or turbo on the back. We need to drive it, and drive it a lot. So we took a road trip to Arizona. Let's get the pertinent business out of the way right at the top. 3,609 pounds, or depending on how you express your weights and measures, 1,637 kilograms. Now, if this had a real roof, it would be about 200 pounds lighter. Right, now that we have the pleasantries out of the way, bist du fertig? Ich auch. A little wind up there, and then, oh yes, there is a difference between this and the base car. Wow, this is an S. Oh, that does feel like a 500 horsepower car. This thing, magnificent. Makes power very differently than that GTS that we drove. Oh wow, this is quite a sweet spot in the 992 world. We need to go back down a little bit here, and this is the normal mode. Admittedly, not to pop you in the face like the 992.1 Turbo S, but truly a difference. Like, this is not like S's that came before it. However, let's try something different. This normal mode. I think we should try this. No one's around. Let's try this in on Sport Plus. Let's do a brake stand, shall we? There's no delay there. This is how a 911 should feel. I made the case that this should be the base car without driving it. This should be the base car. No one is going to think, oh my God, I should have bought a Corvette after driving this. Again, these are all about, you buy them by the ounce, not by the pound, and you feel it here. God, this is really good. Okay, so I kind of sandbagged you here, not exactly 500 horsepower. To be pedantic, it's 30 horsepower more than the .1 car, which makes it 473. If you remember the .1 GTS, that was the same. Then I've got a lovely stand-in here, an S, not exactly a Carrera S, Turbo S. This one with center locks and carbon ceramic rotors, which brings us to, I would argue, an equally big change, and that is the size of the brakes. So they go to 408 mils in the front. That's up from 350, and the back is 380. If you remember, it used to be 350 all the way around. The base car is now 350 all the way around. And then while we've got the automotive porn here, we've got suspension pieces. The suspension, it has changed. It's still the same basic setup as a 992. However, what they've done is they've brought over the hydraulics from the previous GTS, not the helper springs. Now we got all the good news out of the way. Let's press on to the bad news. And that would be no manual. Now, if you remember our VW GTI Mark 8.5 episode, I blamed you for the demise of that manual because you didn't buy enough of them. Whether you agree with me or not, that was indeed the case. This, I believe, is a bit of a different kettle of fish, because if you look at the sales figures of 992.1s, even non-GT cars, the mix is like 25% manual. Granted, mainly in the US. I know that sounds counterintuitive. GT cars, it's about 50%. Don't crucify me on the exact number, but it's kind of around there. Compare it to Toyota Corolla hatchbacks, not GR Corollas, it's like 5%. So it's a huge take rate of manuals in 911. So it's my theory. I think Porsche made a deal with the government for fuel economy. Probably there was some money sprinkled in there, or saving some money. I'm thinking somewhere in between those. This really wasn't a people aren't buying things. I'll let you argue this point in the comments below. Wait for it. Oh, the wastegate. Bellissimo, or should I say, wunderbar. But that's better than the Burmester. I am going to go down on record saying that. However, let's back down to normal. Have a discussion regarding what 911s are about, and that is the way they drive, specifically dynamics, control. That's why people have bought these things for 70 years. So layering on all this extra power in not the ridiculous Turbo S, what does that mean? And here's a couple of moving parts. Literally, we get an extra inch of stopping power in the front, a little bit less than that in the back. And I would argue that's the bigger difference here. That's what changes the car. It's the opposite of the extra horsepower. 40 horsepower, lovely, but you need control. And when you get into 408 mils in the front, that was like old Turbo S territory or braking. And here, I have complete control of the vehicle. I don't feel like it's pulling me anywhere. I don't feel like there's too much power or too much brake. It's kind of like Goldilocks. It's just right. Okay, so let's dispense with that. Go back up to Sport Plus, shift our own gears. Suspension. We covered some of the details that cascaded down from the GTS, but not those helper springs. Is that a problem? I'd say you really have to be pushing this thing beyond its limits to know the difference. This beautifully composed even at 3,600 pounds. And take a look at this. I'm coming on this thing pretty aggressively, like older 911s. There's no cowl shake whatsoever in the convertible. Really, this discussion is more about the S. Overall, it makes me feel like I want a 911 with 500 horsepower. Oh, I forgot, I own a 911 with 500 horsepower. This just, it delivers the power completely different. It's like, great way to describe 992s. They all kind of deliver power the same way. It's just, it's like you're turning up the volume on a very nice stereo. The bass is down here, this is here, GTS is here, and I guess that new Turbo S is gonna be like this. Rather than playing a round of our famous game, the options game, let's have a discussion on economics, spearheaded by the price of the 992.2 Carrera S. When these were first introduced, the base price was going to be $141,000. Now it's $146,400. However, what you are looking at is a convertible that is now $165,300. This car, believe it or not, in the grand scheme of things of the Porsche world, does not have a lot of options. This one has a couple of interior options, which add about $7,000, basically the two-tone leather, as well as the 18-way seats. Then we got that paint, which I have to say, I'm not a gray guy, but I chose this over a different color 911 because this is only $860 for that Viridium or Verdarum or whatever they're called paint. The roof, to get it in red, which I like, not everybody who saw the car did, that's an additional $240. Then the extended gas tank, highly suggested in all 992 ownership. This is now 22.1 gallons, $230. Sounds very cheap thus far, right? Well, we need the rear axle steer. That's an additional $2,170. Then those stunning modern interpretation of the Fuchs wheels, that's only $1,300, kind of a bargain. Then, believe it or not, the Bose stereo, standard. I'm kind of surprised. Long and short of the story, the total retail price of this car, a Carrera S built in, $191,615. Now, once you pick yourself up off the floor, you may remember that the base price of a 2021 992.1 Carrera S was something like $116,000. That's a lot less than $146,000. However, the world's changed. That's where we get to our economics lesson. And depending on who you look at or where you get your data, real inflation, forget what the government's been telling you over the past 5 years, real inflation is anywhere between 15 and 20%. Now, bringing this all full circle, if you go from the $116,000 base price not that long ago in 2021 to today, that's just over 25% inflation. Now, I could see people get angry at Porsche. However, it ain't just Porsche. So if we look at a direct competitor, not as much money, a C8. Back in 2021, that was the bargain of the century at $60,995. In 2025, that's $69,995. So for all the quants nerds out there, that translates to just under 15% inflation for a car that is mostly manufactured in the US. Clearly, these are more impacted by what's going on recently. However, my role here is to present the facts. You can infer how much of it is politics, culture, and just real-world economics that's impacting sports car prices. So a couple things. Number one, I am not ready to return to the California Republic, at least just yet. Number two, love me some Arizona highways. So number three, let's continue our discussion for science. Starting with, I had a statement that I know you will not agree with me on. This magnificent road trip car, and really has nothing to do with the extra power. It's more to do with all of the changes put together, but really something that happened, 5-6 years ago, and that is the 992. Now, I distinctly remember when that car first came out, I drove it in Spain, I read the comments, and I thought for certain you guys were going to drag the entire engineering team of Porsche out to the stake and literally burn them in the town square. And I still get a little bit of hate in the comments, and it's really unfounded. Because this, dynamically, whether it's like good, better, best, even better and ridiculous, that's kind of what Porsche offers. These dynamically can do this. And then I drove 409 miles to Phoenix one way, and it was, I don't want to say bliss. It wasn't like driving a Cadillac Eldorado. It was comfortable. I didn't feel like claustrophobic. There really wasn't a lot of storage room because I had all that gear. But for a couple, which I can tell you that's what we've done with my car, you can store plenty in these things. Now, yes, I will admit there is a function of this being an almost $200,000 cars and all the gingerbread it has, like the cooled seats and the heated seats, what I didn't use in September in Phoenix, if I'm honest. Then there is the reality of this is a 911, and I'd say one of the worst kept secrets about these and Corvettes, they actually get good fuel economy, with an asterisk. Driving it like this, I'm getting 12 mpg. It's kind of what I do in my own car back home. However, 409 miles. What did I do? 20? 25? Actually, I'm not going to tell you how fast I went. I am not a very fast driver. Most people that know me will share this with you. Matter of fact, it's very annoying to them. My car guy friends, when we go on these like drives to Cars and Coffees in the morning, I leave a half an hour early because I am not willing to drive as fast as them. Toyota MPG in a 500 horsepower German convertible. That's really the usability factor. That we can do this, and I can get here and still have almost half a tank left to drive around Scottsdale. Now, of course, like anything else in life, it's not completely puppy dogs and roses. There are bits that I complain about, but I already complained about those in our 992.2 career episode. Click here, watch those, and I will complain with the best of them. What I am about to say may sound absolutely ridiculous, but keep in mind, this is a bit of a different situation we've had here because I've driven this car for over 1,000 miles. And this is a better value at something like 150 grand than a $130,000 base Carrera. Now, why do I say this? This drives as you envision a 911 to drive. The base Carrera dynamically drives like a 911, but there's something missing in the thrust department that this clearly fixes, to the point where, do I say this is the sweet spot? I don't know. That's the beauty of the eye of the beholder, because some people want a really fast car. GTS, now a really fast car, where to me, this is the sweet spot. GTS is almost like old turbo area. That's kind of the rarefied air that it's in. You see what I did there with the air? Which brings us to the wish list. And the wish list is really two things. I think this whole manual transmission thing, I think that's a load of crap. I think they're gonna find a way to get manuals in these things again. I just don't know how much they're gonna charge for it. I think that's the move they're doing here. And number two, and this comes from most 911 owners, the key, love the shape and all this kind of stuff, and you can get a body color like I did on mine. However, the keyless go, whatever they call it in Porsche, it's not infallible. So you sometimes have to go up to the car and you gotta hit the button, but you don't want to pull it out of your pocket. There's no line of demarcation between the buttons. How about the one for the front? How about raise that one so it feels different? This way we can get around like the electrical gremlins of fancy keys, which are not cheap, by the way. And with that, I am just one man. This is the point of the episode. I turn around to you guys to opine in the comments below or via our social media. Motoman TV all in word, Motoman TV all in word, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And with that, it has been fantastic to be here in Scottsdale, not just because driving around and I'm a proud Sun Devil, but a huge thank you to Brad, Hayden, and the team at Porsche North Scottsdale for letting us use their incredible facility, which still literally has new car smell. This thing is literally 6 months old. So we got to shoot in the workshop. There's like a boutique up there. There's even a little like cafe, and I think we stole a donut or two. Anyway, until we see you in the next episode, bis später. Before we head back to California, riddle me this. How do you know that you're in Arizona without seeing the word Arizona?